Someone came back. Thank you very much. I tried. I really did. I am an old school fan of Doctor Who, and it runs strong. It runs very strong. I've been a fan since, well, I'll say that I was in third grade. I would come home after school, and well, my area, we had a PBS channel that would run Doctor Who. But before that happened, that was in the 80s, maybe the late 70s. Well, yeah, certainly the late 70s. But before that, when I was in third grade, I'd come home on a regular network, not network channel, but local affiliate. I think it was a ABC affiliate, not that that's important. But the local channel ran shortly after school when I got home these episodes of Doctor Who. They had to go on commercial television, so they were edited significantly. And I don't know if the order was ever wrong, or I simply didn't always tune in. But of course, the cliffhangers would hit, and I would be motivated to see what came next, and I missed a lot. But that caught me very early on, even though it looked kind of cheap. It was certainly, I was young enough when it didn't really matter nearly as much. And then a couple of years later, it stopped. I stopped watching, and then it stopped being on there. And then within 2 years, even less than that, it was on PBS, our local PBS station. Some kid, when I was in fifth grade, some kid moved in from out of state, and he was kind of a goofy guy. But I think he and I had a certain way of, looking at things and things that we liked. We didn't necessarily gel, but he did at one point ask me. He just knew, I think, to ask me. So you guys have Doctor Who here, don't you? I thought, I don't know what you're talking about, because I didn't remember. And he kind of spelled it out. I'm like, oh, yeah, I think we had that. I did see that before. And he said, yeah, I think it's on the local PBS, on the PBS channel. So you kind of make fun of the kid, like you do when you're kind of a dork, yet kind of obnoxious. And of course, I'd sneak out of the main room we had at home where the TV was, and I'd go to my mom and dad's room, because my dad was home from work. My mom was cooking or doing something. So I'd turn on the TV, and my sister was watching something else. So I was able to sneak away. And I tuned in, and what is this? This is lame. And I tuned in again the next day or 2 days later, whenever it was. And I kept saying, this is dumb. But I kept getting sucked in. And so it's been since, very early age, and I've been hooked. And that's the cross I have to bear, and that's my nerdery, the strongest vein of nerdery. So eventually I was going to get to this. It was bound to happen. When the series came back in 2005, my son was teeny tiny, and I thought it was kind of neat that he was going to be born into something that I grew into. And of course, he digged it, and he even digs the old stuff. God help him. But I remember thinking about this particular episode I want to look at. The series had been on for 4 years, 3.5 years, 4 years. And David Tennant was the doctor in residence. And he had a couple of other seasons previous, so he had gone through a couple of co-stars, Billy Piper and Freema Agyeman, and he was with Catherine Tate, comedian Catherine Tate, who had ruffled some feathers with people starting up because she was abrasive, and then she got into the show, and it was a special, and it worked out, and she came back, and I loved it. I loved her. For me, a devoted fan of the old series, of the old school. And this new gal Catherine Tate played Donna Noble, and I thought she was fantastic and bold and sassy and too gruff and a little soft inside and full of piss and vinegar and a little bit of regret. And I identified with her. I thought, wow, she's like me. And it was kind of nice because she was a little older than the typical co-star, typical assistant or companion for the show. I thought she was fantastic, and I love the fact that her grandfather was Bernard Cribbins, an actor I'd seen very passing in British comedy series and things. I always thought he was very funny, and he was so sweet in the show. He was fantastic. What a wonderful pair. I just would have loved to have seen more of them on the show. Really, what a wonderful performer, both Bernard Cribbins and Catherine Tate. And then there's this story, this episode, and Catherine Tate's not in it. And it's done cheap. Doctor Who's known for doing things cheap, and it had one set, and it felt like a little bit like X-Files, very much like the Twilight Zone, and it had something interesting to say. And David Troughton, son of Patrick Troughton. Patrick Troughton was in the series in the middle to late 60s. Patrick Troughton played the Doctor, and his son was now doing a part in it. His voice, my God, sounds like his old man. There was an actor I had seen on EastEnders. So of course, I watch a lot of British television. But there were some other people that did other cast members, but I had just never seen anything that they did. They clearly had been around. The British public would have recognized a few faces. But this thing was very plain and very, you know what? I probably should just get to it. I think I'm going to watch a trailer first, though. Oh, here we go. A little volume. Yeah, no Donna. It looks like an airplane. It looks a lot like it's supposed to look like an airplane, but it's a lot of quick shots, pointing, sudden dramatic edits. A lot of screaming, bright lights. Lots of panic. Panic and despair. You get it all in this episode. Well, I suppose there's a lot of panic and despair in panic and despair in almost any Doctor Who episode. Very, very much a horror feel. Gosh. I don't know that it was really the trailer. That was really more or less the teaser at the end of the previous episode. I did see the teaser, the trailer that would play during the week before the episode came out. It's essentially the same thing. It's a little bit different, but no need for me to go into that. I think it's about time to, maybe I should start the episode. Gosh, it's, I've probably seen this episode a couple of times. Certainly when it first came on. At the time, I would do, I would see these ahead of schedule. At the time David Tennant was on the show, BBC America was getting them, if I'm not mistaken, about a week after the fact, certainly later in the week. There would be at least a couple of days, if not a week. I had a channel, a pipeline of sorts. The data would be delivered to me through some secret hold in a cargo vessel on the high seas, as it were. And I would watch it on my computer, but I would still burn discs. I would make discs with menus, and I would bring them over to a friend's house and watch them there. I'd already seen it once, maybe twice. Maybe watch it with my son or my wife at the time. and or somebody, generally one of those three categories. And this I didn't watch with my son right away. Everything was sort of where's the scary points and how scary are they? Because he was pretty young at that. Here we are. Yes, a interesting model shot. It starts off with always made me think of Battlestar Galactica, even though it looks nothing like Battlestar Galactica. Catherine Tate barely in the show. She's poolside. I wonder if it's even really a pool. He's always enthusiastic when he talks to his friend, his best friend, Donna Noble. He always needs a shave. She's drinking a margarita. Yeah. A lot of digital shots, model shots, and things I don't normally notice. I'm sort of noticing now. Cast members walking by in the foreground. Yeah. It's got to be a digital pool. Yeah, they're a team, but they're not a team, but they're not that kind of a team. Ooh, famous last words. What could possibly go wrong? And cue the theme song. Oh, this theme song. God, when the show came back and it sounded so good, I thought, yeah, at least it's got that, and it changed ever so slightly every season, at least until Matt Smith came on the scene, and that changed radically. That's actually one I didn't like, not initially. Then I grew into it. I loved it. But Midnight by Russell T. Davies, The Davies, and boom. Yeah, it's like a plane, but it's like a bus. And it must have been a plane set, dressed up, and partial plane set. Yeah. Yeah. Allons-y. He's so geeky and endearing and weird and goofy and obnoxious and David Troughton, my God, he looks like his old man without hair. He sounds like his old man. Sounds like his old man with hair. He's got this, even when he's not smiling and he just starts to have a bit of God, he looks like his dad. And David Tennant was almost anybody who knows a Doctor Who knows about all this crap. And David Tennant was a huge Doctor Who fan when he was younger, so certainly by this point he had seen enough of the old series and knew about Patrick Troughton, and to be working with his son, he must have been a little giddy. Well, probably not nearly as giddy as was going out with his other co-doctor's daughter, marrying her. Yeah. I guess looking at it now, the set looks actually bigger than I thought. It is about half of the length of a full-size plane, and it looks like first-class seats, or at least spacier seats. One hostess, stewardess, crew member. I don't know what we're supposed to say anymore. Crusader. Oh, there's a game console icon. It looks like a Nintendo thing. So I guess this is 2009. 2009. And will this volume interfere with me? I don't know. Now that I see this in higher quality, it does look like there's a lot of polyester. It's supposed to be the far future, and everybody looks like they could have been on a plane today. Make it look far in the future, but still keep people's attention so that it doesn't look like they're wearing space clothes. Because whenever you make space clothes, it always looks too weird, it's distracting, or it looks like today anyways. Might as well just make it today. Somebody's actually reading a real book. Everyone knows the doctor did something. He's sabotaged the entertainment system because it was obnoxious. How about that? We'll have to talk to each other. It's kind of neat. It doesn't, it's just really day in the life. It's really just, getting to know, surreptitiously getting to know a little personality of each one of the characters. And all the stuff that everyone would know, the doctor goes over his head, but he has to lie and play along. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun back then. It was a fun show. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And of course, the nerdy girl who's really cute, and you almost certainly you take the glasses off, the hair out of a bun, and not in a studious sweater. And she's probably mega honey. They're all on television, so they're almost always gorgeous. Except for, I'm not saying. If I'm not mistaken, she's the only one in such dark clothes, this Mrs. Silvestri. So, is it supposed to mean something? Is it not supposed to mean something? It's odd because you get no definition in her clothes. The lighting it makes it kind of impossible to see. It's just like a big dark image. Everybody else you could see folds and creases and stitching and parts in the fabric. All the texturing's there. Even when the lights are low, it's lit, so you can still see that. But this one character, you just can't see a thing. And it looks like it must have been an accident, but it probably wasn't. It almost certainly wasn't an accident. God, he's just acting his socks off, whispering. It's so easy to understand what he says. He speaks so clearly. Even when he's whispering, he's totally projecting. Yeah. Well, I suppose the kid, but his stuff isn't so blackety black that you can't see any definition. At least it's a T-shirt as well. Black armbands, and yeah, everything's gone. Stop. Everything's warm. It's very warm. Some of it's harsh. Most of it's warm light. Now, there's some agitation now. Yeah. So everything's very normal and routine, but now something odd has happened. And we got enough information out of two characters, the professor and the hostess, that it isn't all normal The hostess is clearly acting like it's supposed to be, but it ain't. Going out of the way to show the doctor is brilliant and knows everything. So when the guys try to bluff and lie and say everything, it's just one of these things. No, it's not. Because that comes up later again. It usually comes up in most Doctor Who episodes, how brilliant he is, more brilliant than everyone else. But in here, it becomes, at one point, a liability. What makes you so special? Yeah. There's something very charming. He does have it. He needs to eat a sandwich, but he's very charming in that respect. Okay, now the shuttle drivers have pulled the filter screens back, which you're not supposed to do because all this energy is, certain ways to destroy everybody, even with protective glass. But they're thinking, let's just look. We'll be able to get a view and see what most people don't get to see. It'll be cool. And then they point out pretty soon here how, hey, there, what's that thing? I've never seen it. I'm sure they're just, here's the guy who's going to say it. Did you just see that? He swears there was something, and like a damn fool in this day of modern still screen video, I paused it any number of times and looked for some subtle movement, and I didn't see anything. I don't think they did anything. There's just enough lights glimmering and moving with crystals in that, so you don't need to put it there. I don't know if maybe they did put it there, and I just simply can't see it. I thought somebody would have pointed it out by now. I used to check a lot of stuff online for, comments and that. But I certainly might have missed it because I didn't look for everything. But okay, now we're getting some definition to her. It's the lighting is showing, but she's wearing a black shirt with a black sports coat and black pants. And the only color there really is these, colored fake gems beaded on the trim of her collar. Here the nerdy girl, the cute nerdy girl also knows something. So, people are cleverer than they sometimes think they are or want everyone else to think. So they quietly will say something. Panic, panic, panic. Talking over each other. Do. Okay, the volume just came up louder. I brought all that to the fore. Dee. Listen to Dee. They do some audio work in this with layers of voices, which is neat. Neat. What an observation. Yeah, everything's fine, and then there's the pounding. But yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Look, everybody, everything's fine. Especially in this circumstance. There's a limited number of people, most of them don't know each other, and they're sealed in. They can go nowhere. This is a common Doctor Who trope, the base under siege. But normally there's a couple of rooms on a base, and power room, communications room, weapons room, the tombs, whatever. But this is one room, 6 seats, and maybe 6 and 6. So, yeah, it is. It's something so simple, banging or hammering on the hull of this craft. Freaks everyone out. Something you can't explain will freak everyone out, especially if you can't see it, you can't hear it. You could hear some evidence of it. We Yeah, it moves. It moves. Clearly, it is either, could be intelligent. It is. But it is either, there is no it. It's trying to psych everyone out, or it is cleverly trying to find a way in. It's predatory. And maybe all of those things. But it's the only thing, that's the only evidence we have that it is there. And it's terrifying. It's simple and it's terrifying. Yeah, the professor is telling Dee Dee to stop it. Don't encourage them. Encourage their wild imaginations, making everything. Yeah, that's intelligent and repeats a pattern. There isn't any time to think. There's only time to react and overthink. And the hostess is just as panicked and scared as everyone else. Someone in the position of responsibility is just as terrified and uncertain. She's trying to do something, but everyone, calm down occasionally gets said because it's the right thing to do, but how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you calm down? But for whatever reason, Mrs. Silvestri thinks the thing is coming from her, coming for her. And whatever it is, it does come from her. Does she know, or is she just that paranoid? I don't think we ever know. I don't think we ever find out. Yeah, turn off the lights, make everything go dark, barely bring them back on. It'll scare the hell out of you. Now, this is where it all, I mean, before this moment, of course, but this is the attitude that has made me think of, it's where it starts. This is where it starts. Not the fear and unknown is already there. But there's Rose. There's Rose calling for the doctor. Can't hear her. This is where they gradually start turning on each other. The next few minutes. And that's what made me think of the monsters are due on Maple Street. And it's just over a third of the way through. First act is done. Something has happened. Second act, now something has possessed or occupied or is on Mrs. Silvestri's mind. Possessed Mrs. Silvestri. Yeah, that's the outside. That's bad. Not so much Chekhov's gun, but Chekhov's open airlock. And everyone starts panicking and saying to the doctor, "You don't know what you're doing," but he does. This shows us again. He is, the audience already knows, he's the good guy. He always makes it better. He always fixes it, or him and his companion, or somebody he's inspired. So hope, he insists there is still something to cling on to. But this is where we have to deal with Sky Silvestri. Yeah, the lighting's really cool now because it's supposed to be dark and it's lit just enough, and they all have little flashlights, powerful flashlights. So noise was outside. Now it's not there anymore. And Sky Silvestri is inside huddled in one position, not moving. So they are making assumptions now. This is where they're all making assumptions. It's in her. It's in her. But nothing got in. There's only a dented part of the door. She's barely moving now. Shadows make all this creepy. And there is something weird about her. Gotta say it. There's something weird about her face. She has an odd look. She does have an odd look, and she also clearly capitalizes on it. Eyes wide open, looking dead, cold at everybody, expressionless. Apparently expressionless. Is it expressionless? That's what we're seeing. If you didn't have this Murray Gold music with the timpani and the suspenseful sounds, if you had some fun music, if you had some John Williams music, you might be able to make this sound look kind of neat. Something so simple. No, low lighting, one room, just a handful of cast, and she just repeats. Right inflections and everything. She turns and looks at everybody who she repeats. It is so unnerving. Watching it again, it's creepy, and I watched this probably about a month ago. I wonder, she does seem to have the doctor's look, expression. His eyes are wide, or is he that fascinated by her? Oh, even a little, wow. Yeah. It's so unnatural. Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, everything was natural. But the unnatural was what was happening with the houses, the lights, the cars. Yeah, again, layered voices on top of each other. Lights come back. Lights are on, everyone calms down just a little bit. Okay, the professor wants everyone to calm down, just like, was it Claude Akins in The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street? And she's not repeating anything now. Is it darkness? That's been the theme of the season. The darkness is coming. Now it's synchronous. Now she's talking with everybody. No delay. Now this is where it's interesting because the editing has put, I think, her voice, Sky's voice, or the thing's voice, just underneath everybody else's voice. But with David Tennant's voice, eventually that changes. Yeah, because his voice is unless the camera is on her, the volume is higher, it's more prominent with the doctor's voice. And it changes. It makes it very, very clear. Mm-hmm. See, this is always, tends to be what always happens with the doctor. He's so pleased with what is clearly bizarre, possibly threatening, and he's fascinated by it. That's a common theme. The doctor being more clever than everybody else. And now you put that in the story. When everyone panics, what makes him so different? And because he's different, because he's a little pushy, a little bossy, and a little arrogant, and he loves it, he's even more different. And you have to wonder, you got to wonder where does he fit in all of this? That's what they think. That's what the mob does. Beware the mob and its voracious appetite. He keeps saying that. David Troughton keeps saying, there is no it. Is there? Isn't there? I mean, there's something. Now that's one step further than the monsters are due on Maple Street. The monsters are due on Maple Street. It's all a couple of tricks that some alien hopeful invaders want the whole thing to go to chaos and that people destroy themselves before they take over the world. So there really isn't anything there. They're it. But here, he's not part of a democratic decision. He's not part of the republic. He's just, we're going to do this because I'm the most clever. Yeah, now the idea, can we get rid of it? Can we kill it? And of course, the doctor doesn't like that idea because, first of all, is it in sky? Is it sky? They insist it killed the two drivers, the crew, but we don't know that. We don't know that it did, probably did, might have done. See, everyone is smart enough, and they're revealing all the stuff that the doctor doesn't really want revealed. Yeah, so they can throw somebody out. They can kill somebody. They're planning it right now. They're going to kill they want to kill the thing, but it might mean grabbing this woman, Sky Silvestri, and throwing her out. That's what he says. There's a little bunch of humans, and then he challenges them. He's holding a mirror up to them, and he's actually saying, "You people are." He's half there, but he uses the wrong words, and he antagonizes them. And they're just paranoid to think around it. Paranoid enough. She's still repeating, or synced. We're almost at the end of the second act. The second act's going to end with Yeah, and now he's doing it. You'll have to get past me, and they'll do it. This is where it gets so scary. The audience knows because it's the doctor. It's his show. Of course he's okay, but now everything that we know about him, which is just a little mystery here and a little mystery there, you add it all together and put it in a big bowl of paranoia. And yeah, or a pressure cooker, of course. So he turns, it's funny, he turns, you don't see his face, he turns his face to look at Sky, and she's still synced up talking with him, but you start to hear her more. Then when he faces the camera, we hear his voice. One thing the British actors all do when they talk with emphatically and dramatically, they spit when they talk. And these days, people will say, COVID! He's spreading COVID! This would be the most maddening thing. You're stuck with a mob, and you can't abide by what the mob would do, and there's more of them than you. And they're going to turn on you, and they are turning on him. Yeah. Constant questions, constant talking. The reminding of the repeating. She's not talking. She's not talking. She's not synced up with anybody. Unless we're in the third, we must be in the third act. But now she looks so smug, so confident. Yeah, now she's in control. This is the third act. Because she's heard everything the doctor said. Now they're gonna change the volume levels. Hers is going to get on above his. Yeah. It was on. Yeah. Hers, I think, is above his now. Still him, though. Back to him. They're closer. Yeah, this is going to get real creepy. This must have been really weird making it. And here it is. Here it is. Yeah. Yes, that was it. Sound editing did that. No special effects, no visual effects. Sound editing did that. Now they're starting to see Yet he's terrified. She's not paranoid. She's not scared or anything. And Dee Dee sees it. No, that's not what happened. It's so freaky. This is another spot where it is different from the monsters are due on Maple Street. There is something there. There is something in their midst. And somebody does take charge. And somebody does something to fix it. Nobody else does. In fact, it is the person. The lighting on her has got a spot right on her. Harsh light on her. One person. Jethro's a little unsure. Yeah. So if you control the mob, if you can feed the mob an idea, it'll do what you want. And now she's saying too much. So she wants Dee Dee to speak. Jethro is willing to say that he doesn't know. And the hostess is behind, is away from the circle of everybody. She's witnessing it all now. And the Mrs. Silvestri thing is very happy. And that's what is happening. She is whispering to the mob. This is where it gets bad. It'll be you next. That's what it is with the mob. Very dramatic Murray Gold music. Molto bene. The only one in authority left, official authority. She knows. And she does it. She pulls him out. She pulls her out. Midnight Sky, I guess. Sky Silvestri, Midnight Sky. Guess I didn't notice that before. The light's back to normal. It's nice lighting, decent lighting. And now everyone is confronted with themselves. The most horrid thing that they can see right now. The most horrible thing that a mob can see is itself. They feel ashamed and pathetic. Yeah. It's easy to be clever about a mob when you're not in it. I'm just as susceptible as anybody else. I just hope I never have the wrong set of circumstances where I am anywhere near or inside a mob. It scares the hell out of me. This was an impressive part of the story. He says the hostess, what was her name? And nobody knows what her name is. Nobody knows what her name is. She's just a woman who worked there, and she saved them all. She ended up keeping her head as cool as possible, eventually. And nobody knows what her name is. You know who it was who, well, sort of know the name of the person responsible for all of this. We don't know the name of the person who fixed it, stopped it, saved them. Oh, Donna. Donna goes up to her friend. What was it? Yeah, it's another thing you don't typically get in Doctor Who. Normally everything is solved by science. This, he doesn't know what it is. Silence. Again, silence is mentioned. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah. It's always sad, a sobering experience watching something like that. These sort of morality plays. Makes you think, makes you worried. And then everything's all right and we're back to normal life. I hope we stay in normal life. Yeah, so that's out of the way. Um, oh, no need to be all down and dour. Let us do move on to the next thing. And the next thing, I hope, is just around the corner. Again, thank you for tuning in, staying on, being patient, and indulging me my vanity. Do you have a comment? Then let me know what it is. I might not want. I might not. I might not agree. But it'd be good to see what somebody else says if it's a disagreement or a counter to something that I've thought of and I haven't mentioned, or if it's an idea of something to review or look at or talk about. I don't know if I want to say all things nerdy, but that is my background to a certain extent. Um, and yeah, that's not so bad. Once again, thank you for viewing, and thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. Until next time, have a good day.